This is my live setup for 2026. Things have changed over the years and I've had different ideas about how I want to perform. A lot of what I used to do is very prepared, and this is complete and utter chaos and improvisation, which I quite like. But there's a lot of prep work that goes into it. And because I want to unpatch this beast, I got to do something to record this moment in time so I can get back to it if I have any more shows. So we'll see. I'm going to start off with the Digitakt and just talk about what's going on here. So Digitakt is the brains of this whole operation. The drums are all set here on the first 8 buttons. And I switch between these with preset loading. I've got like a bank of stuff, which if I go to bank B, I've got all of these different sounds that I've kind of been working on as I've been jamming. So what I'd normally do is start with nothing on any of these. And on some tracks, I actually use the Euclidean pattern generator in here, which is function and sequencer. And then I use that to quickly fill out the sound, which is quite fun. So I'll program those up, build things as I go, as well as those 8 different sample sounds on Digitakt. We then have the MIDI channels on 9, 10, 11, and 12. 9 is a reset, and 10 is a gate for the voltage block, which goes and controls the Similis Iteris Alter. I will talk about this more in a bit, but basically every time we hit a step, it's going to go through the sequence there, and then every time we hit the reset, it goes back to the start. So it's pretty sort of self-explanatory. So you can create some different sequence lengths and different patterns with that. Then on 11 is the gate to the multigrain. Now this is probably a room for improvement thing where Ikari, which it goes through, the stereo filter from Bastel, has a VCA being controlled by the channel for the Similis. So basically if I take this out, we've got gate for multigrain. 12's nice and straightforward. That is the sorry, it's just nice sounds right now. Ooh, that's a gate for the sort of Platts clone module here, the Beehive going into Polaris. Probably now is a good time to talk about what's going on in the modular, because this is going to be the kind of juiciest bit, I suppose. Within the modular, we have bass, we have chords and kind of melodic elements, and we also have a signal chain with kind of noisy percussion and textural kind of samples from multigrain. That's all sort of one. So if we go over to Jelly Mix here, and maybe I add some shit back in. Digitakt on channel 1. Bass on channel 2. Chords on channel 3. Noisy percussion and stuff from multigrain on channel 4. And then a return from C-Legs on channel 5. With all of these sound sources, I'm going straight out from the modules themselves with these cool little IntelliGel 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch cables. So let's talk about bass. To improvise, I've got this Metropolix sequencer here. We can wang these controls around to send out different pitch information. We've got lots of step modifiers. We've got things like pulse count per step and switches for the gate type. So it just all adds together to something where you can kind of change a few things, set limitations like how many stages to go through and how many pulses. So we get that idea of a repeating 8-step pattern, or we can change that to 16, or we could do 12. And with the kick drum, if I just get that going again, you can kind of hear how that can do some like really cool stuff. Let's just reduce that down to 8. But then what I've also done is I've mapped the offset to control 1 here. So just by turning it, you can get some, again, different rhythmic patterns, which is quite fun. And then on control 2, I've actually mapped the playback order. So 2 options to kind of change the sequence immediately. There are some other things happening with Metropolis out to the rest of the system, but I will get back to that because now we'll just focus on Atlantics. We've got a sine from oscillator A coming out of aux 2, and this is our sub. And the reason I've got it set up like this is because when it goes through the filter, it kind of can, especially with resonance, lose a little bit of that sub frequency. So just by going directly through the VCA, it just sounds much, much deeper. And it can be really effective when you take out the kick. Let's put in another waveform quickly. Take out the kick, but also the sub. Put both back in, and it sounds pretty big. So Atlantics has all these waveforms mixed into it, so sometimes I'll bring in the saw, kind of an acid squelchy. Same with the pulse wave. But we also have another aux input here, and that is coming from a little array of amps modules over here. So these have a couple of sources to add, I don't know, extra interest to what's happening. So right now we're hearing the channel B on the first amps, which is a ring mod output coming from the Atlantics expander. It adds quite nicely over to the top of the sub, but if I bring this offset down, I'm using a CV, which would be enveloping it to basically sort of pop it through every now and again, and with like sharper attack. That's being done by the first channel of Quadrax, which incidentally is also doing the filter envelope through this FM2 input here. The idea with this is to like add so much to the bass synth to take it to lots of different places throughout a set. As well as that ring modulated signal, which with this plus minus button I can mute, but that's pretty fun because then I can just immediately take it in or out. We've got this wave folder signal here, which I really love. So that is the A sine output going to the input, and then I think we're using the fold out S on bifold, which of the two is kind of my favorite, but I like both. It just, in this setup, this is what I like using. So just to summarize that, aux 1 has 2 different sound sources, the ring mod and the bifold, so the kind of more, the slightly less typical things that don't always exist within Atlantics, I don't know. As well as that, what other modulation have we got going on? I guess we've got the mod Y doing a little bit of modulation on the filter. Every step gets a new random value from the sample and hold in here, and that is set here with this switch where it's the sample and hold is triggered by gate, but it keeps the whole thing moving and keeps it alive, which is really cool. I don't experiment as much as I feel like I want to with kind of frequency modulation. Something to look at in future, I guess. If I want just a random moment, I'll just wang that up. So that's the envelope controlling the pitch of the oscillator. So this envelope here, this is going to be controlling the amplitude of the synth. And I always miss having that second envelope, but obviously it's quite a big module already. There's not a lot of space for that. So I will take, as I was saying earlier, the first channel of Quadrax, and that is doing not just the like punching in of the ring mod there, but also doing a little bit of modulation on bifold and of the filter frequency of the filter. Did I say filter frequency of the filter? I'm going insane. On the mixer, of course, we can just send that to the delay, but we'll talk about the delay in a bit longer. Okay, what's next? Chords. So the Platts module here has a mode on it which does chords. What we're doing is you can't really see it very well, so I'll just have to explain it or take another picture another time. The voltage per octave input is being sent the root output of scale from Metropolis. And so if we look at scale, we've got F sharp and we've got Phrygian as the mode. If I was to change the root note of the scale, you can hear that the chord goes with it, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. So that is the A output on here set to root of track 1. So whatever I do with this, well, actually, whatever root note I set will be fine. Whatever scale I set, I may have to turn this harm knob here to change it between various forms of major and minor. So you can also hear it's kind of moving. You know, it's not just sort of a stationary chord. It's got movement. And the way that this is happening is with the other mod output from Metropolis B, which I have got set to the slider 0 to 5 volts from track output 2. And the reason I've chosen 2 is just because I might want to skip some notes on the first track doing the bass, so this will keep things moving essentially. Why don't I just move all these sliders down? So the slider CV output is going to the timbre CV input, because on this chord mode, timbre, as I turn it, does chord inversions. If we start to add in, we can follow along here. It's a little easier to see. I've also got the play order on this one going just regular left to right rather than anything fancy. So we get that movement through the sliders, which is really cool because it means that those chords don't always just sound super static. If I bring the gate pattern back in, get a bit more level there. So actually I should probably explain this now. So if we just bring this back down just so that we know that it's definitely droning. It's not changing, not doing anything. And that is because on triplet you have this offset of +5 volts, which I'm sending to this particular signal chain, which is Platts, Polaris, VCA1U, dual VCA1U I should say, because there's 2 but I'm only using the 1, and then to this MFX which has got a chorus on it, and then out to Jelly Mix. There's just basically a voltage offset coming from triplet when that switch is in the up position, which means that we can have the chord drone, which I quite like to do sometimes. But also going through that channel of triplet is the gate output from CVX being triggered by Digitakt. So if I now switch that offset off, we get a gate pattern. Now the VCA is being shaped by the second channel of quadrats, and the filter, the Polaris filter, is being shaped by the third channel of quadrats. Polaris has also got a little bit of like wandering modulation as well from C-Leg's mod output. I've got the mod output of that set to like a bunch of stuff, honestly. And yeah, I think that's almost it. On the first channel of triplet, we're going into the CV input of the chorus because sometimes I want no chorus. and sometimes I want a nice amount of chorus. And if I go too far, it gets a little too crazy, but it honestly just sounds a lot tighter without it sometimes, so that is just how it goes. And I think that's us covered for the chords there. So with both of those channels, a cool thing you can do with Jelly Mix, and I don't have it set up this way right now because I'm just talking about it, is I can actually mute stuff, have that go to the muted headphone section, listen to it, and make changes and then bring it back in. I usually do that with the bass line more than anything because changing the bass line can be quite a bit more abrupt, especially if I'm just starting to move some faders around. But you can hear it did affect the chords as well, so there we go. Okay, so after that we have our more, I suppose, experimental part of this, which is my little extra box of tricks on the side here. There are 3 things feeding this signal path, which I'll talk about now. The 3 sound sources are Bassimilus, Iteratus Alter, Flurry, and the multigrain. So what's happening is the Bassimilus and the Flurry are going into channels of the amps module here, the second one. So we've got Bassimilus on A and Flurry on B. And you can mix them together, use one at a time, whatever. So that gives me places to go with my percussion throughout the set. That amps then goes into the multigrain, which we're basically monitoring through that without any of the blur effects, I should add. Then that goes into the Ikari filter from Bastel, and then out from there we go into a compressor module. It does control dynamics of all of these 3 elements quite well, but it is sort of just to fill a space. But don't get me wrong, it does a good job of what it needs to do. Let's go to the filter now, because what happens is we've not only got this kind of auto filter action, but we've also got channel 4 of Quadrax doing an envelope out to Ikari coming from channel 10 on the Digitakt. So I can basically sequence with the Euclidean sequencer how many kind of like steps and the patterns and everything of the sounds that are coming through, whether that is the Bassimilus or Flurry or multigrain, which if I just set something going, pick something that we can actually hear. So right now they're all on quite a short envelope, and that's sort of on purpose because a lot of the time I'll want to bring those sounds back under control. If we let this kind of run wild, it's pretty fun, and I want to go there sometimes, but honestly, a lot of the time I want to be able to take that and bring it back under control. And that's what's happening with multigrain here. So I've got one of the mod outputs, mod output B, set to the position of the morph fader. So that opens and closes, or rather it increases or decreases the full time on Quadrax channel 4 through the CV input here. So I can change that manually, but I also have like a master control, which is kind of linked to how the sound opens up or closes down anyway. So what I'll generally do with this setup here, I'll have it running on a short sequence. As I said earlier, channel 10 is doing the gate, so every time a gate fires, it triggers Bassimilus, and it also advances the voltage block through the clock input, and then it resets with channel 9, so I can either let it just cycle continuously, or I can have it reset maybe like every half a bar or quarter of a bar, or in sort of other different phases. So here I've got it resetting every 8 steps, but I could have it resetting more often. And so what I'll tend to do is just kind of like mess around with these voltages. They're set to all the different parameters here on Bassimilus. Let's just listen to that on its own. Now the reason that I wanted the gate output to the clock input of this is because when I was sending gate to Basimus but clock to voltage block, you'd find that on, let's say, a less busy pattern, if I bring that down slightly on there, by advancing the clock with each gate, we freeze a voltage value across the top and we get like a different sound out of it each time. Whereas if that was a clock in there, it would play one long note, but then that note would change on every step of the clock division, which is not, it's fine sometimes, but it just gets really hectic sounding, like it's busy when you don't want it to be. So this way, it can be a lot less busy when I want it to be, but then if I want to go a bit crazy, I can. We also have the attack and decay control on here to change stuff up as well. Honestly, that just sounds crazy fun to me. Right, okay, moving on. So maybe it's a good idea now to talk about multigrain. Let's latch on to sound here. So I feel like I really haven't made the most of multigrain in this setup. There's just so much going on that I haven't had time to really dive into it. It's also a case of finding good samples to granulize, and a lot of it is just load a sample in, mess with some controls and hope for the best. I've also got like a live grain here, so we can take feed from either of these sounds. Let me take the VC out here and do some fun stuff with it that way. If I leave it just to live grains, sounds pretty fun. Okay, but we'll go back to multigrain here. So the idea being essentially that a lot of these sounds are quite noisy and continuous, so when they are processed and shaped with Quadrax and Ikari, they still have that percussive element to it. Now you can definitely do that on multigrain, and now there's some new modes that allow you to choke the sounds or gate the sounds, but in this setup it just makes more sense to me to do it this way. If we open up the sound here, so I'll morph between different settings on each one, and as we go between those different settings we've got different kind of feel. So generally speaking, when I'm jamming, I'll find something in this more open setting that I like, and then in the more closed setting I'll find something that works well percussively. I do have some tonal stuff in here, and it poses a bit of a risk, which I haven't really rectified in any way. And that risk is that we have a bass line in one key and chords, but the melodic samples might not match the key unless I do some stuff, pitch shifting and modulation. I haven't set it up basically, and I don't think I will. I think this wants to remain my kind of slightly atonal, except for the fact that I can tune the Basimus area to work in. It is synced though, so you'll notice that the grains that are coming out are synced to clock. They might not be in phase, but that's another thing entirely. That's quite a lot of the case already. Other things to add, Flurry has got a slew output on its random going to modulate Polaris, so every time it triggers here it's quite slow, it just changes up the modulation somewhat. Now is probably a good time to talk about the mixing situation, right? So let's pick a different sound here. Let's change some stuff up. It is very immediate just to kind of go to different places. So on the mixer, just a reminder, we've got the drums, the bass, the chords, which are right now quite quiet, the noise setup, and the send to C-Legs. The C-Legs is probably like the last module in here that we haven't really spoken about a lot. So let's take it out. Super flat, no space. We need space. That's why we have C legs. So we've got it on BBD mode. We've got it on Pong. It's on a medium setting. It is clocked to the whole system, and we're getting a bit of drive out of it. Let's just, again, have a listen to it now, back in. So much better. Fog is a really nice sort of one knob reverb on there, which I sometimes bring in or out. Generally speaking, I like to leave it in for the chords. With the delay being clocked, you can wang it round and get some divisions of the clock which sound kind of in tune, which is quite fun. I just demo it with the chords here. Maybe a little bit of the Zimmerless. See, this is a nice place to be. Lovely. So, a bit of feedback. Sometimes we'll ramp that right up for some builds. A little bit of modulation and a lot of filtering so that I can send the bass and the drums to it and it won't get overpowering, but I can also kind of control that a little bit from the mixer. Color, I think it's something that I'll bring up and bring back out again. Same with noise. Like, sometimes it's nice just to add that noise there. And that's why, again, C legs is perfect for this whole thing, because not only is it adding space, but it is also adding kind of some additional ambient sound and texture that's just awesome, honestly. And it can get wobbly when we spend some time on it, but the rest of the time, when we just need it to be locked in and rhythmic, it's doing that pretty well too. So a little bit about the mixer. I've tried to have it set up so that the gains are where they need to be, and that when I just turn level up, that should always be like the maximum of where an element needs to be in the mix. The mutes are super nice. Again, I can listen to them on the headphones to monitor if I want to change something silently. I very rarely use the filter. It is really nice, but I use the Chaos Pad. The aux A sends are going to the delay. Often in this configuration, I have them set to post. I like using pre, but in this instance, if I mute the chords, I kind of want them to stop. I don't want them to keep feeding the delay, so they're set to post for that reason. But I might switch them just to get a different effect later on. And I have that option. In fact, you know, don't even have to really worry about it, because I can kind of set a huge amount of delay and then could just switch it off and then it's done, kind of thing. So all of that's pretty self-explanatory. Again, all directly to and from the modular and from the Digitakt. So this thing handles line inputs and it also handles modular. The only reason that I've got the gain up so high on the Digitakt here is because I've been trying to mess with the main volume level to see what works best, with maybe like cranking it a little bit, giving it a bit of gentle saturation through the output. And then all of this goes through here, which is a little crazy because the mismatch of levels is just insane. This thing, like, I've only got the main, like, let's say at 10 o'clock. And if I turn this all the way up, it's gonna start distorting. I can give it sort of less, but honestly, balancing these two, it can get really tricky. I don't wanna, for reasons of like turning this a lot, the effects depth, I don't really want to be turning this by accident, because from there to there is a huge difference. So turn the main down, turn the input volume up, and balance it that way. And then that will go out to speakers, or in my case, TX6, just to quickly record this. The reason I love the Chaos Pad is because I have all this improvisation stuff, but when it comes to like drops and effects, it's just sometimes easier to go high pass, delay, turn up the effects depth, mess with it, and release. And then that's just like a really quick way to transition the energy through to like a different idea, or like a big drop, or just inject something. The loop is quite fun. And again, with this effects control, you can just be a bit more deliberate about how the effect comes in. Like if I put a flanger on, and freeze as well. Like this thing is crazy good for just immediate effects. I really wish I had this, but like line level quality outputs. And I know that there's I can't remember what it's called. I know there's the new KPV, but there's also the Pro version, the one with the screen and the buttons. This is just perfect for me. It's just a little thing to record motion tracking. Maybe this is where I need to try the KPV, make my own presets, because I see you can do that kind of stuff. But it's just so immediate. And I also end my set a lot like this with the vinyl break, just to kind of mess around, or the grain shifter, the jet, bit of phasing distortion. It's just nuts, honestly. And the beauty of this being on the output as well is I can monitor what's coming through the mixer so that I don't get that horrible thing of, I don't know, set a looper, because the looper is not very precise. But if I can monitor it from here, I can fix that here. And keep everything, you know, just generally in time. So that is my whole run through of everything I'm doing. Other things to note are probably just using a lot of mults to get things like clock around the system. The reset from here is set to run so that we always start on the beats. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, honestly. Oh, one other thing to mention, I suppose, the aux mix and the stereo I/O here were doing all of the mixing duties before and the in and out. And then I was daisy chaining through Digitakt and Chaos Pad. But now that I've got Jelly Mix, it's just so much more flexible. Monitoring is easy, queuing is easy, and it sounds fucking great. Yeah, so that's my setup. This video is mainly for me so that when I unpatch this bastard, I can like get back to it again. Although the chances are that I won't. And there are ways that I'd like to improve it. So I'll think about it, try some stuff, and maybe there's going to be another one of these in the future. But yeah, thanks for listening to me go on about this mad contraption that I've put together. And yeah.